Well, good morning. We're excited to be back here in Jacksonville for today's announcement, and I have with us the President of the Florida Senate, Kathleen Passidomo, and the Speaker of the Florida House, Paul Renner. Now, normally when they're with me, that means there's going to be legislative proposals, and we've been doing a lot of those, and we've got a lot more, so that's something you should expect. We have Congressman Aaron Bean is with us. Where's he at? Difference in productivity between what we do in Florida and what they do up in D.C., but, you know, what are you going to do? We're also joined by Michelle Smith, President of Source One Specialty Services, and Rob Sandlin, President and CEO of Florida Rock and Tank Lines and CEO of Patriot Transportation Holding. So I want to thank them for coming. You saw this morning the inflation report. I saw a victory lap at the State of the Union acting like it was tamed. It's not tamed. So you saw an increase in inflation above what they had anticipated. That's hitting a lot of people on really essential things, on food, on electricity, on insurance, both in terms of auto and others. Now, we did something with insurance, homeowners insurance in December. A lot of people are pleased that we did that. I think you're going to see positive results of that. But there's continuing to see more and more costs with the economy. We're doing a lot in Florida to fight back against that. We did the toll relief program, $500 million for our commuters, where they get rebated every month 50% of their tolls if they hit a certain number. And so people are really excited about that. We also have the big tax relief proposal that Kathleen, Paul, and I unveiled, I think like last week or 2 weeks ago. Time flies. We've got so much stuff going on. So we're going to do $1.5 billion in addition to the toll relief. So people are going to have no tax on baby items like diapers and wipes and clothes and cribs and strollers, no sales tax on household items under $25, back to school holidays in both the winter and in the summer. So these are really, really going to make a difference for Floridians. And so we're proud of that. We're also proud of what Florida's been able to accomplish over the last few years. I mean, we are the center of attention. People are looking to Florida in so many different ways. People have, of course, moved here. We've led the country in net in-migration. We're the fastest growing state in the United States. We have #1 in new business formation. So on and on, education, we've been leading the way in a whole host of different things. And so we're going to continue to do all that. People are excited when they come. They appreciate what we've been able to do here. I have a lot of people that have come from other states, and maybe they have business, and not necessarily like huge businesses, like maybe like a business that has like 100, 200 people, but they make certain things, and they're happy to be in Florida. And I've never had a business yet tell me that they needed to leave Florida to go to New York or some of these other places. I have not had that happen yet in Florida. When they come, they're by and large very, very happy. Now, not everything is perfect. There are things that we need to improve on, and I'd say that the things that I've discussed with different folks who are looking to either bring more business to Florida or expand more business in Florida is, what's your lawsuit climate look like in the state of Florida? And for a number of years, we were ranked #1 in the country for being what they call a judicial hellhole. And basically, I think what that means is that you have a lot of use of the legal system that's not being put towards benefiting somebody that was harmed as much as it's done to benefit lawyers who are involved in the system. And you look around our interstates and stuff, what billboards do you see, billboard after billboard? You see billboard lawyers on these billboards. You don't necessarily see that in a lot of other states. I think you see it here because we've really had a cottage industry of litigation for a long, long time. I've been able to be fortunate to put justices on the Florida Supreme Court and on our appeals courts. That's made a big difference in terms of the litigation climate, because some of that has been driven by activist court decisions over a number of decades. So that genie is back in the bottle. The activism from the courts and the state level is gone, but we still nevertheless have a lot of lawsuits. So for example, we had to do the property insurance litigation reform in December. Florida had represented 8% of all property insurance claims in the United States, but accounted for almost 80% of all property insurance litigation in the United States. So how does it work that that's the case? Is it all of a sudden like an insurance company operates different here than everywhere else? No, it's because there are things in the law that are trying to create more opportunities to bring cases. And if somebody is harmed, you should be able to get compensated. But I think what our system has done is you'll have a situation, someone's really not liable, but if you bring a suit, it's going to be more expensive to defend the suit. And so you have an incentive as kind of a cost of doing business to just do a settlement because that'll be cheaper than hiring lawyers to prove your innocence. The problem with that is that those costs get added onto everything that we do. And so one of the reasons our auto insurance rates are higher here is because there's a lot of cost of litigation embedded in these auto insurance premiums. Think about some of the things that we've had in Florida. So under our current litigation structure, these things have happened in cases. So there was one case where the client was awarded $216.67, and the lawyer got over $100,000 in fees. It's another case about an alleged $1.48 interest miscalculation, and that generated more than $78,000 in lawyer fees given to the attorney. There was one case with $2,114.55 awarded to the client, and the attorney was able to recover almost 8 times the amount that the client did. And then we've highlighted some of the insurance. We've had $41,000 claim for the policyholder generated $1.2 million to the attorney. So that's not something that's going to be a good system. So I've talked with both Paul Renner and Kathleen Pasadomo about updating our legal system so that we're more in line with the rest of the country in terms of doing what works. And so they're working on a series of reforms to be able to make our system better. Again, we want people to be able to have their day in court if they're harmed. Well, we don't want cases that are brought where we know that there's no real liability, but nevertheless it adds costs to the system. So they're going to work on those areas. They've got a number of reforms that they're working on, and I'm supportive of this. I think it's going to make Florida a more attractive place to do business. And when you talk about having the opportunity to build more manufacturing, to build bigger footprints, that's ultimately going to mean a lot more opportunity for Florida citizens. Look, our unemployment rate is, I think, a point and a half lower than the nation as a whole, and we've been much lower than them for really the balance of the post-COVID era, and that's partially because we've approached things in the right way, but we have more ability to expand even more opportunity. So I want to seize that. I want to make sure that we're doing what puts us in the best position, not only to succeed in the here and now, but be able to succeed over the long haul. So I'm going to let Paul and Kathleen come up and say a few words, but I think this will be probably the most significant legal reform that's ever been done in the modern history of the state of Florida. And I know that you'll also hear from some of the folks in industry who can talk about some of the disincentives and some of the perversions that have happened as a result of us having a flawed system. So where's the speaker at? Come on up.
Well, it's great to be with you, and I appreciate so much the great governor that we have here in the state of Florida, Governor DeSantis. Amen. We're leading on just about everything, and I'll tell you a quick story. I was with a group of us from Florida were with a group from Texas. And we were kind of going back and forth, kind of, playfully talking about how our state was better than their state. And I clicked off, well, we got no income tax, we're lead the nation in school choice. Look at all the people coming to Florida, far and away more money and people coming to Florida than any other state in the nation. And the room was kind of quiet on their side. And then they responded and said, but what about your runaway litigation climate? What about that judicial hellhole title that you guys have? And it got kind of quiet on our side. So this is really about bringing things into balance. As the governor said, we want people with legitimate claims to be able to bring those claims, but you should never have a situation where a client gets $200 and the lawyer gets $100,000. That's about the lawyers, it's not about the people. And so that's what we're going to do, is we're going to bring things back into balance so the ball is going down the middle of the fairway for everybody. And when we do that, we're going to be far and away the best state in the nation. So when I have that conversation, again, with my friends from Texas, it's going to be all quiet on their side, I promise you. So thank you guys, and God bless you.
Well, good morning, Jacksonville. I'm so thrilled to be here in Speaker Renner's backyard. I love coming up to Jackson. Before I say anything, I love these trucks. Oh my, do you actually drive these on the streets? They are gorgeous. So last fall, the governor called the speaker and I and said, we have got to do something about the rising cost of property insurance in this state. You have to come to Tallahassee. I don't care what else you're doing. You come to Tallahassee and fix it. And we did. And we spent a week. We passed some robust legislation. We believe that hopefully within a year or so, your property insurance rates will go down. And if they don't, there will be hell to pay. And I have said that to the insurance industry and to the trial lawyers. So what are we doing now? We're just going to take what we did in December, and we're going to apply it to all insurance issues, all litigation in Florida. So here's the thing. I'd say about 90% of the lawyers in the state really do a good job. They care about their clients. They represent all, you all are business people. You oftentimes need a lawyer to represent your interests. And I would presume that you're comfortable with what they're doing because they are thinking about you and what you need, what your needs are, and how to represent you. 10% of them are out there with a business model of, and I have heard this, we sue insurance companies for fees. There's nothing about clients in there. There's nothing about representing people. We have to stop that practice so that the lawyers that represent you all can continue to do the good work that they do in the state. But that 10%, here's the problem. The Florida bar regulates them and has done nothing to stop the practices that they have employed. If the Florida bar doesn't do it, we're going to have to. So I promise you that we are going to work through these issues, and we're going to come up with some legislation to protect you, to protect your businesses, and to protect the people that actually have cases and that should have representation from the lawyers that are just doing it to raise fees. So stay tuned, and I look forward to providing some really good legislation.
All right, well, thanks. I look forward to them being able to work through the legislature. They got a lot on their plate. Okay, now we're going to hear from Michelle Smith, president of Source One Specialty Services.
Well, good morning. It is a privilege to be here with a governor that is focused on the needs of the business community, industry and business, because as we all have learned, this is a governor that gets things done. So we appreciate him leading the charge and protecting business. Unfortunately, the 10% that what we refer to, these are attorneys that prey on the business community. The business community is a victim to them. They really have unfortunately, they've just really abused the legal privileges that are available to them, to the extent that frivolous litigation is potentially everywhere. So a business person that has the dream, that stepped out on the dream to be a leader in their industry is now potentially affected because of something that they have to prove didn't happen. So in doing that, these are things that cost time and treasure from a business owner. The time can be anywhere from 20 to 30 hours a week, which is those are hours of your life you can't get back. So now your 40 or 50 hour work week goes to 70 or 80. And in terms of finances, this is something that can absolutely skyrocket because there are no controls. And that is something that can put the small business person out of business. So so how does that happen? All of the expenses that are incurred, whether it's talking to the attorneys, whether it's talking to your accountants, whether it's talking to the insurance companies, these are expenses that cascade over into all of the other areas of your operation. It's money that is taken away or not available for payroll, for advertising, for marketing, for raises, for expanding your business so that you can continue to be a leader in your industry. And then potentially, if the business doesn't make it, well, you know, what a shame for them, but guess who got their money? The attorneys. And they really, that 10%, they really have become almost professional thugs for the business person. So I deeply appreciate this governor and what he's doing, because the risks are very real for the business owner today. And we look forward to what's going to happen next. Thank you.
Okay, Rob Sandlin.
Hello, thank you, Governor. My name's Rob Sandlin. I'm the CEO of Patriot Transportation and Florida Rock and Tank Lines based here in Jacksonville. Our company was founded here in 1962, and I've been with the company for over 40 years, and also had the pleasure of serving as the past chair of the Florida Trucking Association, which does a lot of good things for all of us truckers in the state. Our company has 500 employees, 400 truck drivers around the southeastern United States. 200 of those operate in the state of Florida. You may have seen us as you were trying to evacuate from a hurricane, delivering fuel into a convenience store, or just on maybe your daily commute as we're delivering fuel. We also deliver fuel to other trucking companies like Publix that deliver groceries to your grocery store when they're needed. So certainly something important along with the other truckers that are here today. Unfortunately, though, lawsuit abuse in our state has consistently had us ranked as one of the worst, if not the worst, as Speaker Renner said. And it's made it very difficult for us to get affordable insurance. And in many cases, insurance companies have just decided not to write insurance in this state. And so there's a very limited group of people that we can go to get that insurance coverage. As an example, since 2018, our insurance rates have gone up by 73%, and we've reduced our coverage by 60%. So that's a lot less insurance and a lot more premium. And so I don't think that's what we're looking for. And we also have to have a six-figure self-insurance level, a deductible, if you will, so that we don't have to pay even higher premiums on those things. One of the things in Florida that causes us problems is Florida's pure comparative negligence, where if you're 1% at fault on a case, there's a good chance, or they think that you may be, there's a good chance you're going to get a claim by one of the billboard attorneys. And then we have to spend our time and energy defending that, even though we were not at fault. So I'll give you one example. We had a tractor trailer sitting at a railroad crossing, had to stop because that's what we're legally required to do by federal law. A car comes up behind us, never hits their brakes, and runs into the back of our trailer, and the person in the car was injured. It's bad. But it's not our fault. The first demand from the plaintiff attorney was for multiple millions of dollars, and we eventually settled that claim for six figures because of the laws in this state and the inflated medical damages that end up coming into the court system in evidence, and then a jury that may be sympathetic to the plaintiff might assign us 20% or whatever of that case. And those numbers get really high, and so the insurance companies and ourselves end up settling those cases instead of litigating them. Differently than Florida, 33 other states have a different law and a different rule where you have to be 50 or 51% at fault. And so we don't see those kind of claims where we're not at fault and then we're having to defend those claims. We're like every other trucking company represented by FTA and the folks in this room that are here today. And if we have an accident and we cause an accident and we hurt somebody, we want to do what's right and we want to pay for those injuries. We don't think we should be paying for injuries that we don't cause, and we don't think that we should be paying for inflated medical damages that are caused by an accident that we don't have. But certainly we want to pay for those things that we do cost. How does this in fact impact you as a Floridian? When we pay claims that we're not responsible for, we can't pay our truck drivers as much as we would like to. I'm sure you've all heard about the truck driver shortage. That is an impact. Insurance rates skyrocket. I just gave you that example earlier, and it's just difficult for business or for trucking companies to stay in business. Most trucking businesses have 10 or fewer employees. And so when they get into one of these litigations, the insurance companies don't have any choice but to charge them more, and it gets to the point where they just can't stay in business and your goods don't get delivered. I want to thank you, Governor DeSantis and Speaker Renner, Madam Pasadomo. Appreciate you all being here. This is really important, and it's time for us to get something done on this subject. Thanks.
And we're working really hard with the truck drivers, producing more. When I became governor, I think Florida was doing about 600 drivers a year through our CDL programs. Now we have the capacity for 3,500 a year. So that's going to make a big difference, particularly as you see more and more truck drivers retiring. Part of our overall effort to bolster workforce education, which has been really, really strong. We're moving up the rankings in that, and we're going to do a lot more going in this next legislative session and beyond. So I think some of these reforms are going to make Florida's economy stronger. I think it's going to help folks who want to relocate businesses here make that decision. We've got a lot of great stuff going on here, but not everything is optimal, and this will be something that'll get us more in line, I think, with what a more predictable, stable legal environment should be, and it gives people an opportunity to do better. So thanks, everybody. We look forward to being able to do this and take anything. Yes, sir?
Governor, yesterday you made some comments